Good afternoon on a fairly dull Tuesday afternoon in February the 10th. Oh, Valentine's Day on Saturday. So I'm delighted to be joined by the historical thriller writer Cristina Loggia. And you'll love her accent. We'll be talking about her origins, I'm sure, at some point, and influence for the book so far. So we shall start as we always do. So welcome, Cristina, to the
Thank you.
61st Author Spotlight. I don't mention the numbers very often, but 62nd. You're the 62nd. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is why I don't mention them very often, because I get them wrong. Anyway, you are the 62nd. Delighted to have you from fairly neighbouring-ish county of Berkshire, or
Yeah.
Berkshire, as the Americans, I think some Americans, but it's Berkshire. English is so I feel sorry for anybody trying to learn English because it's Berk, but we pronounce it bark.
Mark.
But there we go. None so queer as English.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we are here to talk about you and your writing, and we will go off at tangents, I'm sure, throughout. But we start as we always do at your early days, what kind of thing you enjoyed reading, and how you got into writing, and whether you can remember writing something when you were younger.
Well, have always enjoyed reading a lot. Actually, I enjoyed when my mum was reading to me. So I think that, the ability to imagine stories when somebody reads it to you is quite important to develop your own imagination.
Yeah.
I consumed an insane amount of books, especially during my teenage years, but I really never thought I would be able to write anything, or at least I wasn't, a top student in terms of writing at school, primary school, or, even high school. The first meaningful thing that made me think I could write something that was presentable to the public, if you like, was right after university. I was asked by the teacher of a training computer course I attended to write an article about his class for a local newspaper.
Okay.
And he said, why don't you give it a try? You studied literature at university, so you should be good at it. I said, okay. So I did, and I sent it to the local newspaper. And the director called me in and offered me a job as a journalist.
Oh,
So it was quite exciting. They said, oh, am
yes.
I good
And
enough
did you
to
did
do it?
you and you took the job, and
I did.
oh, good.
Yes, a terrible job, by the way, because
Oh,
journalists are not, sometimes not very welcome. So, but I was, reporting from my local county, the area, all sorts of things. So I had a stab at writing crime stories, politics, and anything and everything in between. So it
mm,
was a very good sort of, training, if you like, because when you write articles, you have to sort of capture the interest of the public right at the beginning, and the first sentence is quite key.
mm.
And so it's called the hook for a reason.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then in 2, 3 paragraphs, you have to sort of, get the story together and project it to the public. And when then people told me, oh, I read your articles, it was interesting, da da da. So I thought, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy when people
Mm.
read what I write. And then I was hired later on by a senator to run his press office. So I moved into politics, which was interesting again because you make up stories all the time there. Actually, you don't only report about what's happening.
Yeah.
You might want to imagine. He was also a psychiatrist. So he asked me to keep a column on a national magazine about health issues, mental issues. So I did a lot of research, and that's where I really sort of understood that to write something meaningful, you have to obviously research. When you are a reporter, a journalist, you are fed in news. But when
Mm.
you have to propose something, you have to actually, back it up with research.
Yeah.
And I co-wrote with him a non-fiction book about bulimia and anorexia.
Mm,
And then I was hired as a consultant in the City of London, and I've been in the world of words in communication
mm,
for, the past 25 years. But it's quite different to write anything from a corporate perspective, if you like, where you have, just writing press releases or byline articles, speeches for CEOs who take,
mm,
the benefit of your words, and then writing fiction. And writing a book was something that I had on my mind, on the very back, though, of my mind,
mm,
until a moment where I thought in my career I had enough of having my name at the bottom of a press release. I want
right.
something at the top,
On the cover.
something that is mine.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for an incredible coincidence, or bad coincidence, good, I don't know,
Mm,
COVID struck. So I was left with nothing to do. And I said, that's, what else can I do? So I'll give it a go. There's nothing else I can do.
mm.
And that's how my first novel, Lucifer's Game, was born, really.
A lot of people I've interviewed have started writing because of lockdown.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of a sudden they have free time. And when I was teaching, probably about two-thirds of the class were retired, and another third were working but wanted to write. Um, and it's all now I've got the time to do something I've always wanted to do. But I would imagine writing the way you were has been very good. I mean, you said about the hook at the beginning,
Yeah.
is very good when it comes to I'm jumping ahead to the editing process, but you have to be concise. You have to get over whether that was actually a stumbling, it did or it didn't help you. Great with deadlines, because obviously in
Absolutely.
journalism, deadlines are very short. So you can be quite strict with yourself and say, right, I want to get this done by a certain time. But whether you found that writing fiction, you could elaborate more, whether it was actually quite freeing, and whether the non-fiction you'd written before was almost too concise.
Well, writing nonfiction is in a way comforting because you have the limit of the material which is in front of you. So you actually, if you write anything historical or, as in my case, something which was health related, you cannot stray away from that subject. You cannot just make it up. I mean, some people do, but obviously, it's better if you don't.
Sure.
So you can sort of, embellish the writing, but you can do so much because, credibility is on the line in that specific genre.
Oh, yeah.
When you write fiction, it's different because, first of all, the freedom is good, but it's also terrifying because you don't have any boundaries. You can do whatever you want. So
Mm,
that's a good thing about it. Uh, but when you have to put boundaries in, you really don't know where to put it.
mm,
So the fact that I had deadlines before, in a way, helped me to have some sort of discipline.
mm,
And the ability to edit before putting anything out is also something that I learned, during my previous jobs.
mm,
But at the same time, was something that gave me a bit of a problem because whenever I write something, I always revise it. So I probably, during the first chapter, I probably rewrote it 10 times. And
really.
it was terrible because it's such a loss of time.
Mm,
On a good day, I could write between 600 to 2,000 words at max. But probably I wrote 10 times more because I continue to revise and revise and revise because I'm never happy with what I write. And I always have the next day is always better than the day before.
mm.
So in a way is good, but in another way, sometimes I think it's a problem.
Well, I think it stops you carrying on, because it depends on how it works for some people. Because especially if it's not their first book, if they find that they do need to go back through, even if they're writing every day. Because with me, uh, I don't write every day. I want to, but sometimes things happen, like taking the dog to the vet this morning, which is no excuse because it was 10
Sure.
o'clock. So I could have had time in the morning. But anyway, and so I think so. If some people spend too long going back through something that may well change anyway by the time you get further on, if there may be something that's not relevant. So I
Yeah,
do recommend just carrying on. And plus, also, if you're anything like me and you have a sieve for a brain, that you want to just put it all down because you don't want to lose any of it.
absolutely.
But different ways work for different people.
Oh yes, and in fact, I have to say that my debut novel was a hell of a job to do because I didn't have any advice. First of all,
Mm,
I couldn't get any, to be honest with you, because COVID didn't allow it to. But I
mm,
thought I want to enjoy this total freedom, this total be a little god for a few months, if you like,
sure.
sensation, and it was great, but it gave me some hard lessons because when I then wrote my second novel, which I've now finished, I
Mm,
applied a few of those lessons learned, although I kind of strayed back to my, usual issues. But at
mm,
least writing a book, at least the first book, is the first hurdle because it helps you to understand how the whole machine works,
mm,
and it's not easy to do from a technical perspective because of course the story is important, the imagination is important, the writing is important, but the discipline and how you approach the project, which is called project, by the way, in the publishing industry, which I found horrendous, but nevertheless it is quite appropriate for something which you can look at from a very almost mechanical perspective,
sure.
because that is, the ability to get something done. It's all great and good to have a fantastic idea, but unless you
Mm,
put it down, as you rightly say,
mm,
how are you going to enjoy it, or everybody else?
mm. Well, your first book is set in Rome in the
Yeah.
1940s. Is this a particular? I mean, and Rome you know well. You chose Rome and you chose the 1940s for any particular reason, or did it suit the story you wanted to tell?
Well, it suited the story because I always enjoyed reading thrillers and sort of edge of the seats stories. My boss used to say that I am an adrenaline junkie. So I really like to be, waiting for the next page to read and enjoy.
Mm,
So I wanted to write something in that space, in that genre. But
mm,
and I was researching, different kind of stories, and I came across a small sort of little story about a spy who was, undercover in Rome.
mm,
And I thought that was perfect, great. I like this story, and really nobody knew what he did to achieve what he achieved in the end.
mm,
So I said, well, what if I make it up? So that was the sort of central idea,
sure.
small but very powerful. And then
Mm,
I know that historical period very well because my granddads, both of them, they fought during the Second World War.
okay.
One was sent to fight in Greece with the Mussolini army,
Mm,
and the other one stayed at home, but he had, his home front to take care of. And both sort of told me what life was like at the time. Especially my grandfather, the one that fought in Greece, he was then sent to a concentration camp in Berlin. So he stayed there for 3 years, and he told me also the story how he escaped and he came back on foot over 3 months. So it was a fantastic, backdrop to
yeah.
have. Uh, Also, from a more, objective perspective, if you like, Europe was on the brink of disaster during the Second World War. It could go either way. Hitler could have won the war.
Sure.
And so it was a pivotal moment in history. So the fact that I knew the background, I found that story, and it was a pivotal moment in history with very high stakes
Mm,
was perfect. I chose it because it had all these elements that could create a story that would be a page turner.
mm. And you had first person insight.
Well, I did.
direct insight. Yeah.
Some of it. And in fact, one episode in the book really happened to my grandfather. I cannot tell you which one
Mm.
because otherwise it's going to spoil everything. But
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
really happened exactly as I describe it. So
Yeah.
it was great also to put it on paper because it's a sort of a, historical testimony of something that I only know, and now a lot of people do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a legacy, isn't it?
It is, and
Fantastic.
it's great.
So,
I thought it was great.
so when you finished your first book, who sees it? You've been through it yourself
Yeah.
17 times. Um, who sees it after, or who
Well,
saw
in
it
the
after you?
first novel, I thought it's going to be so terrible. I'm going to just show it to my husband, my sister, and a few friends.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, tell me what you think.
Be honest.
And of
Yeah.
course, the immediate family says, oh, it's very good, and da da da. But a few friends, which are much more, on the external circle, said,
Yeah.
you know, I enjoyed it. It's really good. It's a page turner, so you should send it over to, agents, which I did.
Mm.
Lots of rejections, of course. And so I thought, well, maybe I can actually write something which is much more than a press release.
Mm.
So it's in my immediate family. But for my second novel, I thought I'd better send it to somebody external who doesn't know me at all
Mm.
and who can give me a much more objective point of view. And also, he was a professional, so a professional reader who could tell me actually the story is not really working this bit, shorten it a little bit, lengthen something else. This is useless. This is better if you elaborate further. So it's a great insight about actually how you can improve on your own job of writing a story.
So, has that made you want to go back to your first one, back through your first one and make any changes, or do you think
I
you're
did think
happy?
about it. I
Mm.
did think about it, and but I said, well, it was published that way. I was traditionally published, by the way, by a publisher, so it was good enough to be published.
Mm.
And I thought next time I'm going to improve it because I think that there were some flaws, and by receiving feedback from a number of readers,
Mm.
somebody said, here is too slow, here is too fast.
Sure.
It is also true that you cannot please everybody. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it made you think. And I think this is extremely important. And obviously, if anyone wants to have that feedback in private, they can. They just have to use, the right people, which I didn't do the first time around.
Exactly. It's interesting you say that parts of it were too fast because I read I've only ever read one James Patterson. I don't read a lot because editing is my day job, so it's a bit too busman's holiday, and I can't switch off the editor brain.
Ah,
But I read um, James Patterson and Michael Letwidge Step on a Crack, and he had I love the fact I love short chapters. Anybody who works with me, they know that I say don't have any chapters more than 2,000 words, because then people, especially at night, if you flick a few pages, all that it's a short chapter. I'll read another one and then another one. And James Patterson tends to go from detective to villain, and you're literally just about either you're about to find out something or you found something out that is kind of and then it
yeah,
goes back to the detective, and then you've got to then read two chapters because you won't find out the
okay.
next bit until you've read get to the second chapter. And I was like this all the way through, and I was exhausted by the end of it.
Too much
So
for you.
yes, and it was, yes. I mean, you have peaks and troughs for a reason, but yes, it was like
Yeah,
the Alps. So many peaks.
yeah.
A very good book. He's the most, at one point, I don't know if he still is, the most stolen from bookshops and borrowed from libraries, and
Here you go.
probably stolen from libraries as well.
Right.
But yes, him and Martina Cole, and graphic novels because they're expensive. And the
Indeed.
most, yeah, stolen from bookshops. This was something I heard years ago. So,
Right. Right.
so you have your friends and family to give you advice and
Yeah.
feedback, and an editor. And so who designed your cover? How did you find your cover
Well, the cover of the book initially was done by my publisher. So I work with the designer to sort of give them an idea of, what I envisaged as the best cover.
Mm.
And because there are military secrets involved, I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind
Yes.
of greenish. So it's shades of green. It's like, an army suit, if you like.
Oh, yes.
So that was the sort of, initial idea.
Mm.
And then when I got my publishing rights reversed by my publisher, I had a problem because that cover, I didn't have the rights.
Yes.
So I bought the background, which you could
Okay.
buy from Shutterstock. There
Right.
are a number of pictures, and it
Yeah.
was just, the skyline of the Vatican.
Okay.
And but the problem was that I didn't have the girl. So what I did was I phoned the photographer who did the first cover because he took the picture of the girl and the outfit and everything, and I couldn't find him.
Right.
So I went to a local photographer and said, "Can you do that? I mean, can you find a girl, a no, model?"
Mm.
And what he did was he sent out a sort of casting call, and I had a lot of models emailing me their image, which
Wow.
it is pretty incredible. I mean, it
Isn't
was,
it? Yeah. Well, the lengths you've gone to, you haven't just gone for something different because you're sort of homaging the first one that worked so well.
I thought I didn't want to stray away too much from that one because I love that
Yeah.
cover, and
Yeah.
I thought it just captured exactly the essence of the book.
Mm.
And so I selected a model, a professional model, and I bought the outfit as well. I
Okay.
searched the internet for 1940s clothes,
Wow.
and we had an entire day of shooting. So it was very interesting. It's like being almost, a film director and a photographer and a casting director at the same time. It was quite an exciting experience, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Expensive
Well,
because,
kudos to you for going to all this for a book cover.
yeah.
That's amazing.
But once I had the images, they are mine
Mm.
forever.
Yes,
Whereas,
exactly.
if you buy pictures, which you can do, there are agencies selling you pictures. They only have a licensing model, so
Mm.
you only, you pay every year. And I thought, I don't want to do that. I want something that is mine and it's exclusive as well, because
Mm.
if you buy something, it's not exclusive to you anyway.
Yeah. No,
So somebody else
exactly.
might have it.
Yes. Well, this one here, One for the Road, I've seen a few times
Ah,
elsewhere.
yeah, I can give you the number of my photographer.
Very good. Well, my dad was a photographer. My uncle was a photographer. Sadly, my dad died 2001, same week as 9/11,
Ah,
and my uncle gave up. All
yeah,
his camera stuff was sold or went to charity
yeah,
or the local camera club. So yes, I've just given my actually I had a beloved. I'd hung on to it for years without using it, about 5 years. A beautiful red Nikon,
oh,
Nikon red uh, digital SLR, but it sat in a bag and never used it. And these days, phones are so good, and I've got a good compact, um, and so I had this wonderful idea of spending my days going around and taking photographs that I could use for book covers.
yeah.
But the trouble is that the big cameras are so heavy that an hour and your neck starts aching, or your hands. It's quite heavy to hold. So I've gone with just a little,
Well, one,
yeah,
indeed,
and my phone.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it was an exciting time, I have to say.
Yeah.
So first thing, and probably last time that I would do that because it's kind of, and I had sort of constraints of the previous cover. For the next one, that's not probably going to happen the same way.
So is the second book related to the first book? Will you try and get the covers
Um,
similar?
no, no, no. I haven't decided about any cover for the second novel just yet. But they are not related in any shape or form.
Okay,
They are
that makes life easier. I
exactly.
mean, you can use the same fonts. So
Yeah.
for those two, they're part of a series. But I
Indeed.
try to have sort of at least my name at the bottom consistency. I was talking to Graham Cumming about his book because he's got 3 books. The first 2 have got his name at the top, and a lot of traditionally published authors, especially when they get to the Lee Childs, that they have their a third of the book is their name,
Yeah.
and then you've got the rest of the cover and the title at the bottom because people don't care. It's just the next. It's like J.K. Rowling; they'll buy it regardless.
Yeah.
And his first 2 had his name at the top and the title underneath, but the
Oh,
third one has got the title at the top. But now so his first one was a horror novel. The second one was fantasy, horror elements, but fantasy. And then the third one is now crime. So it's the first in a crime series, and they're all single titles. So he quite rightly said that there's more impact having the one word at the top in the bigger, because otherwise his name is longer.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
then it makes sense to have
Yeah.
the title. But these are all the things you think about or don't think about until you have to do it
Indeed,
yourself.
indeed. It's part of that technical baggage that you need to have to sort of pick up along the way. And it's something
Mm,
you don't think about until you
yeah,
have to. So the only thing that is linking the 2 novels is the historical period is again a thriller set during the Second World War,
yeah,
which is sort of the common theme, if you like, between the 2.
yeah. See, I write standalones and series, and I kind of I like standalones because then you don't have to you write the story, it's done, that's it.
Yeah,
But equally, I love series. So that one there, One for the Road is standalone. The 2 up there are standalones. That's the first of 5 so far. And then those 2 are the first 2. I've got the third one
yeah,
underway. And so it's lovely revisiting, especially if you have a gap in between, as I do. It's lovely revisiting the character. I have to reread the books previously to make sure that I pick up at the right place and that all the details are correct for them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
But there is
equally, you have to keep it consistent.
yeah,
When writing a standalone, you don't have to worry about, oh, how old was she in this one, and what color were her eyes in that one, and you know,
yeah,
you should have it all written down
yeah.
anyway. But making sure you're consistent, because somebody on a reviewer will say, well, I read the first one, and the second one said that such and such and such and such, and
Yes. Kind of forget.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's not that easy, but there is a merit in both genres, to be honest with you. At the moment, I wrote 2 standalone novels. I don't know if I would be able to write a series. Never say never, but I never thought about it because, as you rightly say, you have to remember exactly, what you wrote, and it could be years before. So because obviously, when you write something, then in my case, it was published a year later. So by the time that you get to publishing, 12 months have gone by, and can
Yeah.
you really remember everything? Probably yes, probably not. But you will have to be extra careful, I suppose. But I read all Ian Fleming's 007 a novel, so I loved it. Probably, I don't know if it was that difficult to write it at the time, but who knows? Maybe it was easy
Oh
because
yes, he
I had
was, because he
like
had
that.
first-hand experience. They say write what you know, and I
Yes,
think if you're even if you haven't lived it yourself, if you're passionate as you are about your era, that you have an interest. It's like having a memory. You don't remember necessarily the things you're not interested in. Double negative. You're less interested in things. Anyway, I know what I mean. Yes, you remember things. I can do my WI talk back to front because it's my journey through the publishing industry. And so I don't have to have anything written down. I literally just I work through my books up
yeah,
to present day. Whereas certain things I have to write down, otherwise I don't, like shopping lists and things that
indeed.
are
Yeah.
less interesting.
And in fact, if you don't write something that you're passionate about, especially in fiction,
Mm,
I think people can see through it. It's not, you don't project your own passion on a piece of paper. So how
mm,
can anybody else relate to the novel itself?
exactly.
So
exactly.
it's something that you have to feel, and that's what I think I really enjoyed about fiction.
Mm.
You can make it up. You can just, make people do whatever they want. It has to be credible, but there is a
Yeah,
sort of, license to do a bit more than what's really possible. So
yeah,
it's great. It's a great
exactly.
genre
But
for
don't you
writing.
find there are some things that you'd love to write about, but nobody would believe it?
I wrote a character in this particular novel that was a mix, like a big bottle full of all the sins and all the negatives of many people I knew in my life. So
Mm.
the essence of evil, if you like, which was great. I mean, no, it could be that there are people like that, and I don't doubt it. I mean, you read in newspapers stories that are beyond belief.
Yeah,
But when I tried to do it, I said, I want this person to be not bad, really bad, I mean,
mm,
incredibly bad, bad beyond what could you
sure.
possibly could imagine in that
Yeah.
particular era or position.
Mm,
And he was a man of the church, so he was
okay.
a monk. So you can imagine how bad it could be. But
Right.
he was. So that was an interesting experiment, which I kind of, it was also somehow beneficial to my own, mental health in terms of, I want to put everything evil that happened to me in one person, then forget
Yeah.
about it, just chuck it
Well,
out.
I have in my short story collect flashes and shorts up there. I have if there's a shopkeeper, it was my former next door neighbour, and he's been in various stories and had certain things. Yeah, he's not fared well.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
luckily former next door neighbour when I lived in Northampton.
you never know.
But nobody. He was the kind of person that nobody really liked. He didn't. He didn't. Yeah, it wasn't. Yes, wasn't a nice person.
That's
But
great.
it's very therapeutic actually killing people off or
Ah,
doing
yes.
nasty things because in
Some,
some respects we know we would never do it in real life,
absolutely true.
um, but there are certain things. It's like Liam Neeson in Taken. You
Ah,
know, if
yes.
you're pushed, I'd love to have a certain set of skills,
My God.
but if you're it, you never know what you're capable of until you have to do something.
Yeah,
And in the meantime, we get to make it up and have our characters do it. It's great fun.
yeah, yeah. And when I was picking the genre, I thought, sure, and you are presented with a number of options. And I
Mm.
thought, do I want to write about, killing people just for the sake of it? I prefer to write about people who, yes, they face incredible challenges, but they use their brain rather than their brute force
Mm.
to overcome them. And actually, as you rightly say, people don't know what they're capable of until they are put into the position and of, having to choose. And what I was also trying to do in my book is also, people can do the right thing or the wrong thing. And it's entirely your choice. You always have a choice
Yeah.
in front of anything that is, appearing in front of you, any challenge. You can approach it in two different ways. And
Yeah.
it's about yourself, what you believe, who you are, your principle, and what you're prepared to do to overcome that challenge. So, and it's great to be able to sort of live on the shoulder of a hero because I would never be able to do it. I would never be able in a million years to be a spy because my nerves, I would would crash.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't lie well enough.
Oh, and I can't. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I could. I mean, I could. I couldn't do anything, let alone from a physical, ability. I don't have any sort of, the skills of anybody that is able to do, martial arts or anything like that,
Yeah.
let alone killing somebody. So the ability to project your mind into something that is completely fictional, but
Mm.
could be also therapeutic if you like, and it's great to know that there are people who might be able to do that and are able to do that and
Mm.
probably worse,
Mm.
but be in the comfort of your seat, which I think is
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely. So you obviously had a publisher initially.
Yeah,
What were they like with marketing? And have you found, because in theory they're supposed to help with the marketing, if not to do it all, which is
yeah,
very rare.
Yeah,
There's a crime author called Mick Herron who writes a Slough House series, sort of the bungled MI5, the rejects, and my husband watches it on Apple TV, loves
yeah,
it, with Gary Oldman.
yeah.
And we went to see Mick Herron a couple of years ago at a Buckingham Literary Festival,
Oh,
and he said he's very lucky the fact that his publisher just want him to write because they want more books. They want as many books. And this is why James Patterson collaborated, because he wasn't writing quickly enough. And so his publisher, every now and then, so he has a social media team. So I'm sure they run things past him. But otherwise, he just spends his time writing, which is, it sounds idyllic. But most publishers, they would expect the author to
yeah.
be around and be
Well,
active on social media.
yeah, and I have to say that the publisher I got in the first place was it was a small press, so they wouldn't have the budget to do
Yeah,
marketing first of all, and
yeah,
they did a bit. They sent the book to on a blog tour, which
mhm,
helped.
mhm,
To NetGalley, they
yeah,
distributed free copies on Goodreads, so we had a
mm,
bit of that.
mm,
But because I spent 25 years in PR and media relations, I said that's not good enough. That's not
right,
enough. And so I wrote byline articles. I pitched myself, as a speaker during events. I ran a course on writing in the local library. So you do a bit yourself because
sure,
it's necessary. And to be honest with you, because I'm a nobody actually in the literary world, you have to put your name out there somehow because it's the only way that people know about you.
mm,
I personally wrote to every single library in England to say, do you want to buy my novel? You can order it to
yes,
and I did that. I did it myself. My publisher wouldn't do it.
no,
So they don't, I don't know. I think that as long as they do, their quota, and they say, okay, I want to make, I don't know, £2,000 per writer. That's it
sure,
for them. It's their
wow,
business model, if you like.
right,
But if you want to grow, obviously you have to do it yourself, and it's
yeah,
incredibly time consuming.
yeah,
It's frustrating because, I had to set up all my social media channels, and you have to
mhm,
keep them going. You
yes,
can't just disappear.
no,
So
exactly,
it's a job in the job. And when I started to do that, I allocated, an insane amount of time in
mm,
the first year, and then I said I have to do it in a different way because otherwise you spend all the time to do that.
yeah,
And
absolutely,
it doesn't bring the results that you want after a certain level anyway. So you have to balance it. But it's quite frustrating to see that a lot of publishers just leave you out there in the wild, and a lot of people don't know what to do. They just think that it's enough to have your book on Amazon. It's not. It's frustrating when you see, these big names like the Prince Harry of this world just jump in the queue because they are celebrities or, the son of this or that, to
mm,
have all these budgets behind them. And you can see that actually sometimes you wonder if the publishing world is going for quality or for the money
mm.
only. And I
Well, I
suspect,
think, I mean, it's lovely that you mentioned libraries because it's a little known fact that some authors earn more from their library borrows. I get a little-ish check every now and then, well, a bank transfer every year
yeah,
for library, and I've never seen my book in a library, so I don't know where they are, but
I
it's
know.
lovely that people are borrowing them.
Yeah,
And so yes, because obviously they're borrowing the same book, so then we get a little bit per borrow rather than somebody buys a book from a bookshop, we might get 50p or a pound or something for that.
yeah.
And then that's it. They might lend it to a couple of friends, but the same book in a library goes over and over and over, which is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and I also sent it to the British Library, the agency for legal deposit as well, so that
Mhm.
it's there for the thousands a year after me,
Okay.
which is,
Well,
it's
yeah,
such a huge endeavor to write a
mm,
novel, and to think that it's going to get lost in time. It's
Mm.
quite saddening, to be honest with
It
you.
is. Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to invest into these 6 copies and send it off, and at least it's there, and
Mm.
it's a personal satisfaction more than anything else, to be honest with you. And I sometimes check on the library website if my novel is given out or not, and I can see that there is a good interest, if you like,
Good.
and because it was very much borrowed in the Hertfordshire libraries, I then did an event at Berkhamsted.
Mm.
And it's sort of, one thing leads to another, and it's good to be, always there in a way, and be able to interest, because when the next book come out, at least, people can say, oh, well, I read the other book, or, there is this book in the library. I can go back and read both. And, it's marketing at the end of the day. That's what it is.
It's visibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've said this a few times, but I'm in 600 and something Facebook groups, book related groups. Um, and when I set the festival up, I was sending out just there's this new festival. Are you self-published? All of this, and it wasn't even go and buy my book. It was come and support the festival.
Yeah.
And I got banned. Well, I was in the Facebook sin bin
Oh,
for a week, because luckily only a week, but it was the week before the first all day end of January, unfortunately,
oh,
because I've been posting too often, and I thought I could do no more than 3 an hour, and it wasn't even every hour. But I was copying and pasting the same thing with the same picture clearly too often. And Facebook said, so I went to do it the next time, and they said, "Oh no, you're on hold." But they don't tell you how long you're on hold for. Try later. So I tried and it's happened to me before. So, and apparently they up so the first time is 3 days, second time is 7 days. I think the next time is something like a month, and then it's forever. So I'm behaving now. And so, and I got no traction from it. It was on my profile, and I could post on my profile. I could post in groups that I own or am admin for, which includes 2 local groups, but nothing that I wasn't on at least an admin for. And I got nothing from it. So, because the trouble with most of these, even if you think, oh great, they've got 31,000 people in it, but there are 31,000 people who are sporadically saying, I've got a new book out, or my book is now 99p. And it's just saturated the social media.
absolutely.
Which is why I think it's much more about getting to know the author. So as
I
the
think so.
talks that you did at Berkhamsted
Yeah.
and spotlights, and at least you can say, oh, I've been interviewed, and um, if you're interested in.
And it's about these personal connection, as you rightly say, because at least their attention is on you for the next hour, which is, you cannot have on social media ever. Social media is a sort of a necessary evil, if you like. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. So you have to be there. Just because I was reading, the most amazing news about some publishers saying, how many followers do you have on social media? So, well, aren't you interested more in somebody else, somebody writing a good thing rather than the followers? So
Yeah,
I am, probably I would never send my novel to such a publisher. But again, it says a lot about what, the times we are living in at the moment. And I think that especially if you want to enjoy much more the interaction with the reader and want readers to know you, they will pick your book because they know you, I think, more than if they just read it online. That
well, I know of some people. I don't know names or anything, but I know it goes on where people will follow other people within the same industry. It's not just publishing, and they'll just keep following. So you can on Facebook, you can have up to 5,000 followers, and they just follow anybody. And of course, Facebook and Instagram and so on come up with various suggest. Oh, if you followed them, you can follow these people.
yeah.
So they go click, click, click all the way along until they get up to their 5,000.
Yeah.
And to get people then to follow them, and then they unfollow, they go through and
Yeah.
unfollow to free up some of the 5,000 and then carry on doing it again just to get people following them. And it's crazy. It
I
is
think
crazy.
it's number it's quantity rather than quality because
Yeah.
what do you do? I mean, I saw somebody who was writing for that particular publisher.
Mm.
She was following something like 30,000 people on X, Twitter
Yes.
before,
Hmm.
and obviously she was followed back by, a similar number. But then
Yeah.
when I was looking at the reviews that you get on Amazon, the
Mm.
number was minuscule. So
Right.
what was the point? You wonder.
They say up to no more than 10% of people who've read a book then review it and then leave a review.
Okay.
And when you buy things from Amazon, they'll say, "Oh, what do you think?" And every now and then, our smart speakers will say, "Oh, um, Tim bought a book because he loves sci-fi, fantasy, sci-fi mostly, but some fantasy."
Mm.
And oh, Tim bought a. This is a notification for Tim. He bought whatever After Contact 3 weeks ago. How would he rate it? And so I ask him, and then I tell her whatever it is, 5 stars,
Yeah.
or leave a review or something. And once, of course, once you do it once, they'll then say, okay, what do you think of it on the screen? Certainly. Okay, well, thanks very much for the review. What do you think of this? And then you can go down um, and review everything else because it is important, especially for an author,
Yeah.
because it is our. I mean, most of us have day jobs and other jobs and do
Absolutely.
something,
Yeah.
and so it is not necessarily our sole livelihood. But if it's something we want to do for the rest of our lives, as it is in most cases, it then becomes our livelihood, whether we're retired. But it's something we want to be, we're passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
really, reviews are really important.
They are, and I encourage you to, readers to give me a feedback or give me a
Yeah.
review. And some people are just not inclined to do it. I don't know why, but I said, just put something like "I love the book" or "I don't like the book." I had from 1 star to 5 stars, mostly
Yeah.
5, mostly 4.
Yeah,
But
as does J.K. Rowling.
absolutely,
This one up here, Serial Data, that was traditionally published as the Serial Data shopping list. And then I found it actually more difficult to think of other shopping lists because I wanted to do a whole series, the Serial Data Dieter, Killer,
right,
etc., etc., and do a whole serial series, which I probably still will at some point. And I was trying to think of others, and then I thought, well, I can't really. I could have the serial killer's shopping list, so he goes to B&Q and buys duct tape and rope and shovel and all that kind of thing. But then I dropped the shopping list because it wasn't really about what they want. That was what she wants in a man, the list, and every other thing was tall. I read it out to a WI talk yesterday, and
right,
got a few laughs from that, so that was lovely.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but and sadly, I couldn't keep the cover. That it was their cover,
Ah,
and it was blue, and I got those from Adobe. I had a Adobe subscription and got all that. I think all of those from Adobe back in the day.
oh, good.
Um, but I call that one up there was my Marmite when it was traditionally published because I don't normally, having said how important reviews are, they are for other people then looking and buying buying the book. But I don't read my reviews. I try not to because I think one or two of mine have got a 3.8, and I think it's very sad because I love them, and people who have read them have loved them. Um, but then when I actually look at the last time I looked at why it was 3.8, I got a 1 star because it arrived bent with a bent cover.
I
Like I can do anything about that.
Yeah, people write reviews just for the sake of it. Some of them.
Yeah.
I got a 2 star review because the person said, "Oh, I started it and I didn't have time to finish it." Well,
Yes.
don't leave a review then. You can't.
Yes. That's
Why?
crazy.
Why would you
That's
do that?
crazy. I only
Crazy.
I only write bad reviews. I bought two because our birds are so voracious in the garden that I bought two bigger bird feeders,
Right.
and I've noticed they want the ones where they can perch on them and eat, rather than have little holes all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I bought two bigger ones. And trying to be economical, I went for bigger but cheaper, the plastic. And the lid, I ended up actually taking them to the tip rather than
Oh,
cleaning them out to the charity shop, because the lid didn't, most of the time in these things the lid stops, but it went all the way around, and it was the same on both of them, so it wasn't a fault on one of them. And so you had to go like this when it's full of seed to put the lid back on, and then spill it. A terrible design. So I
oh,
shall put a practical
yes.
low rating on it, because they
You
ended up
tested it.
at the recycling centre.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I say this one's Marmite because when it was traditionally published, I went on Amazon and had a look, and there was I probably got more one-star reviews, but it was the first one-star review that said, I don't normally leave reviews for books, but this one was so bad I felt I had to.
Oh,
And it went on NetGalley, and it did blog tours, and I love blog tours. I've just taken on Donna Morfitt to do blog tour for O. Henry for that,
yeah.
and the follow-ons.
Yeah.
And it was the serial data shopping list was the bloggers review, bloggers favorite book of the year. That was 2018. Favorite book of the year. The
Well,
one
you
that
see,
somebody said it was so bad.
you can't please everybody. And to be honest with
No,
you, it's like,
no. But that one-star reviewer has given me, and I read it at 11 o'clock at night and laughed myself to sleep because I thought it was hilarious. And now it's become part of my WI talks.
yeah.
So she did me a favor by doing that.
Absolutely. And I think, in a way, as I said, the book is not a given that is liked by everybody, but the people who don't like it sometimes give you good ideas.
Mm,
So I looked at it, I read everything just because, in a way, I can sort of detach myself at the beginning. Of course, it hurts when you read something, really not pleasant. Of course, it does.
yeah,
But at the same time, I thought, well, there's something here which
you
possibly
can
I could
address.
learn.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Let's put it,
Well, I
clearly.
should. I should. It's only just I don't think it's like I do run Amazon ads, and that's something you should maintain, and I don't, and so I'm spending more money than I should be. But I think that Amazon, the good thing about Amazon is that it's pay per click. So somebody's clicked on it, therefore they've seen the cover, they've seen my name, and they're interested. It may not be for them, but they've clicked on it. Whereas Facebook ads, they will spend your budget. So it just you get charged for them for the advert appearing. The advantage of Facebook adverts is that people can leave comments, and so you can interact with the people who have seen the adverts.
Yeah,
And so it's worth spending a bit of money, have a £5 a day budget or something,
yeah,
just
yeah,
to get some kind of feedback. So that's a good way of almost testing some different marketing campaigns.
yeah, yeah.
And so, but it's live and learn with
But
those.
to be honest with you, in order to make a real impact, I suppose you would need the marketing budget of a Prince Harry, because
Yeah.
otherwise you won't have, the whole window with all your books, and that's where, going back to what we were saying at the beginning,
Mm,
it's physical. So people need to see you somewhere, either on a physical shelf or in person. And
mm,
because I was talking the other day with Blackwell's. Now, Blackwell's is a chain of 5 or 7 shops, not huge, but they are in sort of, key cities like Edinburgh, Oxford, Cambridge, and Reading, I don't know where else. And I
mm,
said, you had my novel listed on your website, and you say it's out of stock now.
mm,
You can buy it, from gardeners.
mm,
And it's and they said, well, because it's a special order line, basically they don't know what Gardner's doesn't stock my novel. I'm not important enough for them to stock my novel.
Yeah.
Even if I asked, they don't.
Mm.
So I said, well, that's the only reason why you basically don't stock it. And so it's difficult for anybody to be in a shop unless you go for a, sort of independent shop. But
Mm.
it's quite critical to be there as well because, whenever I go down in Waterstones in central Windsor, I always wander around in Waterstones.
Mm.
And it's great to actually, I love the smell of paper, by the way. So I love to read on paper more than ebook. Although, my sales are doubled ebook compared to paper. But I still like, the old traditional book. And the fact that you are there, it's something that I think people still enjoy. So, and
Oh,
again, because we
absolutely.
cannot be there,
Yeah.
you need to be in front of people in some other way, like,
Yeah.
festivals or other events.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the book that was traditionally published is set around Northampton, and so I went into Waterstones when it came out, and I said, would they stock it? And they said, oh yes, we'd love it. So they then investigated and came back to me and said it's too expensive because they want, I think it's 55% Waterstones or 45 or 55%. So they
Oh,
said it's too expensive. So I then went back to the publisher and said, is there any way? Waterstones would love to stock it. It's set all around Northampton. There are 31 different locations in Northampton and 32 because she works for the newspaper. And so they were very good and put it down to the lowest that they could still make a bit of money on it, and that would be going through Gardeners. Waterstones came back and said no, still too expensive. So I said, can I supply them to you? I can buy author copies. I don't mind if I even lose money on it, but because it's set around Northampton, and
yes,
they were really keen on having it, and they go, no, you're not an approved supplier.
I know, and that's annoying.
Conversation ended. Yeah, so it
Yeah,
never
yeah.
got into
And I
Waterstone.
said to them exactly what I said to them. Look, you can buy directly from my printer at a very low cost. Oh,
Yeah,
we don't have an account with them. Just open it.
yeah,
It's not like the old days where you had actually to fill a form, to wait for a local representative to put you on the list. It's
yeah,
a click away.
yes. And also
It's
the
great.
trouble with the likes of Waterstones, I'm very fond of Waterstones, but because some of those five are Amazon only, they are KDP Select.
All right.
So that rules out Waterstones
Yeah.
completely because it's got Amazon on the back, and understandably, they won't stock Amazon books.
Yeah.
Um, there was something else I was going to say. We were talking about. Oh yes, I was topping up. You may know this is how the festival came about because I know we have such a good reading community in Aylesbury that I was tidying and topping up one of the book swap cupboards in. I do quite a few around, about a dozen, and in Tring, just over the border in Hertfordshire, next to Berkhamsted actually.
Yeah.
And I was tidying up, and a lady came along, and I gave her my card. I haven't heard from her actually, but she's a local children's author, and she said she'd been into all the book independent bookshops in the area and Waterstones
Yeah.
in the area, and she said there was one, and she wouldn't tell me which one, but she went in and said, "Hello, I'm a local author." No, don't want to know.
Oh,
You think you're a bookshop? I'm a
yes.
local author.
Yes.
Would you not support?
I don't understand it. I honestly
No.
don't. I had the only time I had that sort of reaction, which was really disheartening
Mm,
at the London Book Fair.
right.
So I went there because of my publisher invited me, and then I said, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to have a look at the agents. You never know.
Sure. Yeah.
Now I'm a published author, so I
Absolutely.
well know an
Yeah.
agent that could take me on."
Yes.
And they were the most unpleasant people I ever met.
Right.
That's so rude. I said, look, at least, I know we're not talking to authors. I said, what? I
No, I
mean,
think you do have to. Yeah, I think you do have to book in advance if you're going.
yes, but
It's a
even
venue
that wasn't
for people
possible.
to meet other people.
No,
Yeah,
no. I mean,
yeah,
it's disheartening. So that's probably the part of being an author that I don't like. It's
yeah.
the how
It's
the publishing industry seems to be a bit rough on the edges, if you like. Um, and I don't want to say that everybody is like that, but certainly it's not a welcoming environment for newcomers. And
well, I think authors amongst authors are the best people ever,
yeah, yeah,
but it does feel very much like it's us and them once you get to a higher tier, which I
yeah,
think is why so many people have gone self-published now.
absolutely,
But we
yes.
we do. There's a bookshop in Tring, and Ben, who runs it, is fantastic. And it's a lovely bookshop. They have so many local events, and including local author events. And they have a shelf for local authors, which sadly is at the back of the shelf on the floor,
Ah,
and it's not very big.
okay.
So I did take the first one in because at the time I was writing that one, and I knew then the follow up. I think I was in the process, so that was published, and I gave them the traditionally published version.
Yeah,
And I then was in the process of writing the second one, which is set in Hemel Hempstead and Tring. So I thought they'd be really interested. Here's the first one. Can I bring you the second one when it's done? Oh, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So I brought in the second one. In fact, I think I took both of them. So retook in that one. So they matched. Never heard anything. Left it with them to,
yeah.
so I don't know what
Well,
happened.
yeah, I
But
mean, I understand why publisher and bookshop complain about Amazon, but it's
yeah,
a hell of their own making, to be honest with you. They
yeah,
just would be a bit more regarded if they behaved in a different way, which they
mm,
don't. I just wonder where we are all going to end up without a publisher. But to be honest with you, now with Amazon, you can do whatever you want. You don't wait
yeah,
for them. And to be honest with you, as we were saying before, they don't have any marketing for you anyway. Even
no,
the big publishers, I've seen that
mm,
for, debut author or smaller author, they don't give a damn,
yeah.
to be honest with you.
I mean, whether they'd be like to be classed as mid um, publishers, the likes of Bookouture, not Bookouture, sorry, Bookouture. Begins with a
Bookshop
B.
is quite big now.
It is, yes. I think it's part of HarperCollins. Actually, it's
Oh,
the only part of I think it's
yeah.
HarperCollins that you can contact them directly. No, who are they? Boldwood.
Oh, yeah.
Boldwood. Um, so they are everywhere. Their publishers, their authors are doing very well. Some of whom were used to be my authors
All right.
when they were with their previous publisher, and I was editing for them. And also Storm. So they tend to be crime thriller
Yeah.
publishers. But I think it's you go on social media, probably not signed in, so it doesn't know your algorithms, and see who is prolific. You may put book tour or book reviewer or new books or something, and see which publishers are the best at marketing because they're everywhere. And
Yeah.
those are two, Boldwood and their crime and women's fiction. I
Oh,
think I don't know if they do other genres. I should know. Um, but they are and Storm have come from almost I don't like to say nowhere, but they are very much on the radar these days.
yeah.
Um, and they're I don't know about Storm, but certainly Boldwood is closed most of the year because they've become so successful
Yeah.
that they have to close, as do other places because they get just bombarded. I mentor a husband and wife, and they're both doing the agent hunt at the moment. And the husband's now talking about self-publishing because he just wants the book to be out there.
True.
And so
True. It's a difficult word to be in. It's very enjoyable, I have to say.
it,
The
yeah,
writing bit is
nothing
great.
quite like it.
the technical part and the business part of it is less pleasant. Let's put it this way.
Exactly. And I bet
Yeah.
if you're like me, you get loads of emails every day with people offering their marketing
Oh,
services.
oh, yeah, yeah,
So I have quite a sarcastic copy and paste email that goes back to them.
yeah.
You know, they
Correct.
just say hi or don't even say anything. Why would they do that?
I
So
don't.
I'm saying, why have you done that? But third personing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get bombarded by marketing experts to
Oh,
help
yeah,
me
yeah.
with my things.
Yes, somebody who
So,
wants, your book to result at the top in searches and all the rest of it. Well, no,
exactly.
I don't even bother to respond.
Yeah.
You get a lot of them,
Yeah.
and some people just ask you for money to do a review, it's not something that I want to do. If I do a blog tour, that's a different thing because you're actually
Yes. No,
doing
I love
that.
blog. I think blog tour, if you're going to spend your money on marketing, spend it on blog tours
Yeah, yeah,
because then you've got the reviews. It's a respected reviewer giving an honest review. And you can then use those for quotes. I use Canva for my covers
yeah,
and not tour posters because they're done by whoever does my tours for me.
yeah,
Um, but then you've got quotes to do your little standalones on social media
yeah,
and so on.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I get to say in WI talks that Karen's World, I'm getting this wrong, Karen's World, that was her favourite book of 2018. So
yeah, exactly,
brilliant.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to engage also with people who will give you some sort of feedback and a professional one, by the way. So
Exactly.
it's a great thing to do, I think. It's probably the best part that my publisher did for me because
Yeah.
they didn't do a lot, but that they got right, and it was a good way to learn the ropes of marketing in terms of anything book related because done PR for corporate, but it was a completely different thing to do it for a book, especially if it is your own. It's a bit more of a different kettle of fish, I think.
Yes,
Um,
it's always better somebody else saying that it's good
Absolutely.
rather
Absolutely.
than
For me, it's
us going
fantastic.
on.
Of course, I wrote it. I cannot say that they're any different to anyone.
they're our babies. But yes, that's the trouble with all the Facebook groups. It's their own them saying that go and buy their
Yeah,
fantastic book.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Anyway,
true. Here we go.
yes, I could carry on all afternoon and evening, but no, it's been a pleasure, and may see you later this month
All right,
locally
we
at
will.
the Society of Authors.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much. It was a
Christina.
pleasure.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.